TurboTax charges $1,750 to prepare a business tax return. What? Does not compute. How do you do that? Is that a lot? What do you get with the service? Should TurboTax's pricing be the floor for tax return prep? Why is it so expensive to prepare a business tax return? How much do I charge for a business tax return? I'm going to talk about all those things in this video. Hold on to your receipts. Let's get to it. I just want to say this before I start to set the right tone in your head. I'm not trying to dunk on TurboTax. The fact that their pricing is where it is makes me very happy. I think it's great for the industry. I only have anecdotal experience of TurboTax from what I've heard from others. TurboTax will prepare your S corporation or partnership tax return for $1,750. Actually, it's $1,749. Okay, whatever. It's called full service business. I was honestly surprised by how high the pricing was, because when I think about TurboTax, my first thoughts are it's for those that want a more affordable option to prepare their tax return. So I thought they would be competing on price with their full service option, but they're not. You have to pay extra for state tax returns, by the way, $64 per state. Their pricing overall is actually pretty high in my opinion. The National Association of Tax Professionals, NATP, did a study on their members' pricing. The average fee for preparing an S Corp and partnership return was less than $600 in 2023. That's like 70% cheaper than TurboTax. 60% of NATP's members are either a CPA or EA, and 89% of all their members have more than 10 years of experience. We need to talk about that, but that can be for another video. So what do you get with TurboTax's full service business? In order for them to start on your business tax return, your books have to be clean and up to date, so transactions need to be categorized and accounts reconciled. Maybe they upsell their bookkeeping services that way. They want to see your prior year tax return, your income statement, balance sheet, and end of year bank statements. That's actually pretty good. There was a point in my firm where I didn't request bank statements because I had faith in my clients' accounting skills. Now I request bank statements. TurboTax says on their marketing that they will get to know you and your business and connect you with a tax expert. I wonder if that means certain preparers will work on certain returns because they are more experienced with that type of return. If you want a deep dive on the experience of using TurboTax full service from an accounting professional's point of view, the Cloud Accounting guys did a video on their experience. I'll link to their video in the video description. When the return is finished, you review and confirm the tax return with someone at TurboTax. That's nice because most people paying someone to prepare their tax return have no idea how taxes work. You get audit support, but that doesn't include IRS or state representation. So I imagine that means resolving any IRS notices. TurboTax will also pay for any penalty or interest because of an incorrect calculation done on behalf of TurboTax. There's definitely value in all of that. On paper, I'm impressed with what you get with TurboTax full service business. I bet a lot of accounting firms don't do all of those things. But if you do, should TurboTax's pricing be the floor for business tax return preparation? I ask this because if you're doing all of the things or even most of the things TurboTax's full service business offers, you should consider using TurboTax as a price anchor against yours. You can charge slightly less and say TurboTax charges this amount. I do all of the things that TurboTax does, but better because I have this much experience and I'm going to be more available to you than TurboTax. Or you can charge more and say TurboTax charges this amount. I do all the things that TurboTax does, but better because I have this much experience and I'm going to be more available to you than TurboTax. You just said the same thing. Exactly. Raise your rates, people. TurboTax is using tax experts to prepare your return. On their webpage for the full service business, they show a tax expert named Chris who has been an expert for 4 years. Is he certified with a CPA or EA? Maybe. I feel like putting a CPA or EA next to his job title would help bring more credibility to the service. Although maybe they don't want to set the expectation that all their tax returns will be prepared by someone who is certified. I'd love to know how TurboTax got their pricing. I'm wondering if they are charging a relatively high rate because they have so much market cap for 1040s and they are part of the same company that owns QuickBooks. Have you heard of them? So they have a huge lead generator to get lots of business tax returns to prepare. And they probably have limited capacity, so they can't be the cheapest or they'll have too many returns. I know during tax season, they usually have a significant discount. Some have seen half off, some have seen about $500 off, like an early bird special to fill up capacity early on in the tax season. I've heard from someone that has interviewed to be a tax return preparer that they pay $25 an hour, and this is a remote position. I got paid $25 an hour when I first started working back in 2014. So I can't imagine they are attracting the best and brightest tax preparers. If the skills of those who are preparing tax returns is worth $25 an hour, then I would be skeptical of the quality of the product. I'm not saying their quality is trash, I'm saying I wouldn't expect it to be good. You usually get what you pay for, you know? That's probably how they can discount the fee so much. Their labor costs are so low, which doesn't incentivize the employees to do a good job, theoretically. Please, accountants, you are valuable. Why is it so expensive to prepare a business tax return? Usually it's cheaper to prepare a personal tax return, not because they take more time, but because of the complexity and skills needed to prepare a business tax return. Personal tax returns can still be complex, but the skills needed to prepare your average personal tax return are not going to be as much compared to the skills needed to prepare an average business tax return. You need to have accounting knowledge on top of tax knowledge. How much do I charge for a business tax return? I'm Logan Graff, by the way. Nice to meet you if I haven't met you before. My minimum business tax return prep fee is $2,000. I'm a CPA and have 10 years of experience. For context, when I started my firm in 2020, I think the minimum was about $1,000 or maybe a little less. There was a point 2 years ago where TurboTax was charging $1,500 for a business tax return, and I was either at the same price or lower and decided I should be higher than TurboTax because I know, or think I know, I do a better job at preparing business returns. Some tax pros say my fee is really high, and some say my fee is still really low. The longer I run my firm, the more value I see from my services, so my prices are in a constant evolving state. We're all on our own journey to find our value in this world. I take pride in how much we strive to prepare the return accurately and how thorough we are. Every tax preparer should aim for the same quality, but that's sadly not the reality. It's part of the reason why we charge so much. We take our time. We're going to look in every nook and cranny of your financials to make sure everything is in the right place and reconciled. If there is something that we think there may be something slightly off, we dig into it because we value a tax return that's going to be as accurate as possible. I provide a video summary going over the tax return so clients understand what is going on and what was involved with preparing the tax return. I have faith that my work product is higher quality than TurboTax's. Thank you for watching this video. I hope we're able to encourage each other to raise our standards and raise our rates and make the accounting profession great. Cheers.